Welcome to the NZ Travel Show, an interactive show where you can ask your NZ travel questions to the experts behind nzpocketguide.com, New Zealand's largest travel guide. The NZ Travel Show will start in exactly 2 minutes. Just the time for you to hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and subscribe if you have not done so yet. NZPocketGuide.com has over 3,000 articles covering all aspects of travelling in New Zealand, from a working holiday gap year to tips for a perfect family holiday. The site also features dozens of pre-made itineraries that you can use to plan your ideal trip in New Zealand. It's all available for free at nzpocketguide.com, so check it out. The NZ Travel Show is hosted by Robin, the Operations Manager of South Pacific Pocket Guide, the company behind nzpocketguide.com. The New Zealand Travel Show is also hosted by Laura, a journalist and editor-in-chief of South Pacific Pocket Guide and all its publications, including nzpocketguide.com. We're exactly 1 minute away from the NZ Travel Show. Get yourself comfortable and start asking your NZ travel questions in the chat. Robin and Laura will go over them when the show starts. In 30 seconds, our experts will be live from New Zealand to give you all the practical New Zealand travel tips you need, from the best transport options to the best accommodations and activities to choose for the perfect New Zealand holiday. Live from New Zealand, this is the NZ Travel Show with your travel experts, Robin and Laura.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another NZ Travel Show. It is the 12th of November 2023, and today we are going to be answering all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. We are live from beautiful New Zealand, in fact. So in the live chat, what would you have? Violet Zulu that says, hello guys, miss you, my friends.
Yeah, we missed you too, Violet Zulu. It's been quite a while since you have been on our live show, so welcome back. We are having a little bit of trouble with our chat on the side today. It's not updating as it usually does, so bear with us if you can't see your comments.
Welcome to the NZ Travel Show, an interactive show where
the chat.
Yeah, it's just going to be a refresh all the time, it's going to be annoying, but it'll be fine. I will work on fixing that later on because I tried to fix it before this show and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Laura, do you want to say hello to our newest Patreon member?
Absolutely. So Adil is here saying, Kia ora, Robin, Laura, and all of the viewers. I won't be able to watch this live stream again today, but I will be here for the Patreon show. Excellent.
Nice. I hope it works well during the Patreon show. It's going to be your second one, so sometimes there's a few. It doesn't work as well in the first time. You need to figure out how to use Google Meet, but it works afterwards.
Yeah. What are you doing during the Patreon show today?
Today we're going to be looking at the photo of Sherry's trip to New Zealand. She just came back from New Zealand, and so we'll do that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
And we probably still have Hanima planning a trip.
Yeah.
Miss W as well is planning a trip, and she may make an appearance. We'll see.
Nice.
We'll see who's there. It's hard to know the future.
Yeah, it's just just see what happens.
Speaking-
Mrs. W is
speaking
here
of her.
saying hi.
All right. Speaking of the future, or guessing what the future holds, what is our
Let's
theme of the week?
forecast something.
All right, so this week on the NZ Travel Show, we are going to be talking about the weather in New Zealand in December. What to expect? So if you're planning on traveling in New Zealand in December, well, a lot of other people are planning to do so as well. So one thing to expect is to
A lot of
be
other
busy.
people.
Yeah, it's going to be busy. But summer is the first month of summer in
December is
December.
the first month of
Yes.
summer.
It's the first month of summer in the Southern Hemisphere. That is I don't
It's
know.
live, people. It's
Yeah,
live.
it's very very hard as a sentence to say. So it should hold some great weather for an amazing road trip. So today we're going to go over some travel tips for New Zealand in December, as well as some weather patterns. We're going to be talking about rainfalls, temperature, and we're going to tell you what to pack when traveling in New Zealand in December. Okay, shall we get started almost immediately, Laura?
Almost. Let's
Immediately.
do it.
All right. I will do this. It's a chaos today. All right. So let's get started with 5 tips for traveling in New Zealand in December with the beautiful Laura.
Okay, first tip for December, which is summer, which means there is usually quite a lot of sun, which means you should definitely make sure that you have some high factor sunscreen with you and make sure that you do apply it regularly, or any other method of covering up from the sun. You really will need to do it in New Zealand because of the way that it's positioned on the globe. It does have some of the highest UV rays in the world, so even if you don't usually get sunburnt, chances are that will not be the case in New Zealand and you will get sunburn. Even they say after about 7 minutes of sun exposure in New Zealand, you do start to burn. So yeah, make sure that you have sunscreen always handy in your day pack as you're traveling around. And another sort of, sort of toiletry item type thing that you should take around with you is insect repellent. So summer in New Zealand often means that the sandflies are out, which are very pesky little insects that when they bite, they can leave a very nasty itch. They don't carry diseases or anything, but it's just really annoying if you do get bitten by one. So yeah, insect repellent can help deter that, as well as, again, covering exposed skin with just clothing sometimes. Another thing to do, because it is December, because it is the high season in New Zealand, you will need to book quite a few things in advance, whether that's accommodation, perhaps even buses or flights, transport, even some activities. Just if you have the opportunity to book book now for December, book as far in advance as you can, then definitely take that opportunity to do so, because this is when the country is at its most busiest. Another tip is that if you are traveling in New Zealand around the Christmas period, then do note that there are some public holidays on the 24th, the 25th and 26th of December. So that means that shops and services will have reduced hours, so just plan around that. And then finally, do note that if you are, planning to, have a few beers in, some place for New Year's Eve, note that in New Zealand there are some laws that you can't just drink in a lot of public places, especially in urban areas, which, some international tourists might not be aware of that even being a thing. But yeah, you can't just crack open a beer in the street in New Zealand. There are certain places where, yeah, you have to be in certain places to do that, not on the street.
So don't crack a beer open in the middle of the street. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I like that tip.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, so next up we'll be talking about the typical temperature in December. I've just tried to do a couple of fixes while Laura's talking, so maybe that's going to be working. We'll see what happens. Maybe not. It's even looking different now, so I don't know what's going on over there.
It'll change throughout this show.
Yes.
We'll see the evolution of the chat box.
We will attempt to make some progress. Now, as we are about 10 minutes into this live show right now, it's a good time to remind you guys that you can ask us all your questions about traveling in New Zealand during this show. So I know that now and since basically a year, we have been branding all of live show with a specific theme, right? But if you're planning a trip to New Zealand and have some questions about traveling in New Zealand, feel free to kind of ask them, even if it doesn't have anything to do with the theme of this week. It is just your place right now to interact with us and ask us all your questions, so you can make the most of your time in New Zealand. So get that chance, use that opportunity, and make the most of it. All right, in the meantime, we'll start talking about temperature, shall we, Laura?
Yes, I will make my transition slowly
at some point.
towards
It will
the
happen.
board.
It's chaos today. Go. All right. Sofa is here from Sofa is here from the US. I like it. Sofa. That must be a very comfortable person. I love it. Okay. All right. Where are we at? I'm gonna try to refresh that. Should I try that? I'm gonna try something just to try. Why is this live chat refusing to work? I'm really confused about it. Okay. Miss W says about those sandfly, are they everywhere or just in the south? They're
in the north as well.
There are a few places in the north, yeah, but
especially like even in grassy areas, it's not necessarily sand like the name suggests.
Yeah, sandflies are not just in sand, right? So so they'll be by the river stream and everything. So if you start seeing a few sandflies, just keep walking and you'll be fine. Yeah. Okay, so let's get talking about the typical temperatures that you can experience in New Zealand in December. In December, you will experience slightly different climate throughout the country of New Zealand. You'll realize that some of the temperatures are much higher than some others. So let's go over that. And then after that, we'll talk about rainfall. Okay, so let's look at the map with the beautiful Laura over there and look at the northern New Zealand. This encompasses the region of Northland, the town or city of Auckland, and the city of Tauranga. And so the average daylight temperature in December in New Zealand would be 18 degrees Celsius, which is 64 degrees Fahrenheit. In central Northern, which is Hamilton, Taupo, and beautiful Rotorua, the average temperature will be around 15 degrees Celsius, which is about 59 degrees Fahrenheit. In southwest North Island, which is New Plymouth, Palmerston North, and even all the way in the south in Wellington, you can expect around 15 degrees Celsius as well, which is around 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you want to go sip on some great wine in Gisborne, Napier, or in the Wairarapa region, you can expect to sip in this on this wine, in the beautiful basking sun at 18 degrees Celsius, which is around 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Making our way to the South Island of New Zealand now is Nelson and Blenheim. That's a northern kind of South Island, basically all that region. That's around 17 degrees Celsius, which is around 62 degrees Fahrenheit. In the western South Island, which include Westport, Hokitika, and even beautiful Milford Sound, you can expect around 15 degrees Celsius, which is around 59 degrees Fahrenheit. In eastern South Island, you have Kaikoura, you have Christchurch, you have Timaru. You can expect 16 degrees Celsius, which is 60 degrees Freedom Unit. Then in inland South Island, Lake Tekapo, Queenstown, and Alexandra, you can expect 14 degrees Celsius, which is around 57 degrees Fahrenheit. And finally, we're wrapping it up with Dunedin and Invercargill with 14 degrees Celsius, which is 57 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, next up, we'll be talking about the rainfalls. Boom, Laura's back. All right. So we have Sofa says, visiting your beautiful country in February 2024. Was just curious, is the Southern and typically more crowded with tourists that time of the year? So in February 2024, it is still summer, right? So summer in New Zealand is December, January, and February, right? And so this is our busiest time of the year, like by quite a long shot. And so yes, there is going to be quite a lot of tourists there. That said, the southern of New Zealand has, as a base population, a much lower population count than we have on the northern end. So it doesn't really often feel that busy on the southern of New Zealand. So you still should have like a really good experience. That said, that also means that a lot of the settlements around the south island of New Zealand are significantly smaller and therefore don't have as much accommodation to provide to tourists that they usually have. So if I was to plan a trip to New Zealand in February 2024, I would already be planning. In fact, we have one of our newest Patreon member which is the beautiful Hanima, which is planning a honeymoon with us on Patreon. So it's one of the services that we offer to our Patreon supporters. And yeah, she's traveling around that time of the year as well. And we're making a plan. We're making a plan right now. We're making a plan as soon as we can because yeah, there's already some places which are fully booked. We also have AJ, which is planning his trip as well, and yeah, he is struggling with some accommodations that were not available. That was on the North End, for example. But yeah, so you need to start planning and you need to start booking now.
Yeah, I agree. And there definitely will be hotspots for where it feels like there's a lot of tourists. For instance, Milford Sound, Lake Tekapo. It's usually the smallest places that are really big tourist hotspots. It will feel quite like there is quite a lot of tourists there during that time. But if you come from places anywhere else around the world and you've experienced maybe tourism in Europe or the US, the feeling of being crowded is very different in those countries compared to New Zealand. Like New Zealand actually, if you compare it that way, isn't actually as full of tourists as some other destinations in the world. So New Zealand is by no means one of the most visited countries in the world. So, you know, if you do compare it to maybe some other destinations, it definitely has even the most crowded areas probably won't feel as crowded if you have been to places like that are more touristy.
Yeah, and if you want to join us on Patreon, you can find a link to it on the description of this video. And so it includes like kind of our help for you to plan your trip to New Zealand, along with a lot of extra perks. Laura, what is Kiwi Lauren saying?
Kiwi Lauren is here saying, "Hi team, I don't have the time to stay for the chat, but wanted to say hello from newly snowy Saskatchewan. Just a rehearsal for Little Mermaid. We open December 1st. Oh, nice. Are you playing the mermaid, Kiwi Lauren? You do have the hair for it.
She does have the hair for it.
Yes.
And she also has the colourful personality for it as
Yes,
well.
absolutely.
All right, Mark is here. Mark says, "Hey guys, I was looking at insurance coverage, and one statement they have for rental is that you're covered on formed or paved road. What is the New Zealand definition of formed road? Gravel road, formed road. Okay, so we are not insurance provider. There's a law in New Zealand. We kind of have to state that, right? So we're not a financial advisor. You should seek your own financial advice. We're not insurance provider. You should seek your own insurance advice. You can always contact your provider in order to get clarification of any of the wordings. And so what we are going to say right now is just our personal experience. It does not represent the views of neither you insurers, the views of NZ Pocket Guide, or any affiliated businesses. All right, here you go. Anyway, most of the insurances for car rentals in New Zealand do not cover you if you take gravel road. It's quite well known that there's many places where you can drive, like you can drive on 90 Mile Beach, for example, with a car rental.
They'll state
those
some
kind of things.
specific roles. When there are specific roads, they state it in the policy, and often most of them will state exactly like 90 Mile Beach, Skipper's Canyon Road. That's the only two I can think of right now. But
but usually, as a rule of thumb, you know, because also one of the things is that the roadside assistance as well doesn't come and get you if you're like, you know, on like really very very far off roads, right? So they kind of try to force you to stay in the main road, so like the roadside assistant can come and collect the car and all of that. So that's at least our personal experience, obviously. So that's a bit tricky, so just do be aware of that, and just plan on not driving on gravel roads, which is easier.
I mean, obviously there are some big attractions that are down at least short gravel roads. So I mean, you can be one of those risky people. I mean,
hand puppet people.
To be fair, we would do the same, but we would just
we do it.
Like for instance, like I'm thinking of like Hokitika Gorge is one where it's a bit of a gravel road for maybe about 5 kilometers or something. Would maybe be like one of the longest gravel roads that you go on to get to like a big tourist attraction. But otherwise, most of New Zealand's roads that most people take are sealed roads, are like, you know, tar sealed roads. So there won't be too many instances where you will find yourself on gravel roads. And, you know, if you do find yourself on a gravel road, just drive carefully. The biggest issue with gravel roads is more when cars are coming towards you, and if there is
when they're narrow.
I was going to say when there's like a stone that gets flung up. If they're driving too fast, it can fling up stones onto your windscreen, and that's how windscreen chips can happen.
Chips.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just it's just a kind of a risk of getting outdoors and driving, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's insurance people. They'll do anything to get your money.
Yeah. Mark says the dreaded chips.
Yes.
The dreaded chips make for a fantastic snack, though. I think somebody needs to come up with the dreaded chips. I don't know what it would entail. Maybe like spicy chili chips or something.
Oh, yes.
The dreaded chips. All right. Well, you guys continue asking us your questions. Those are great and relevant questions. I actually do love it. We'll continue with our theme of the week, so we'll give you a bit of time to come up with your questions, and then we have a little bit of time on us doing our theme of the week. Yeah, here you go. All right. How does that work? I do this. No, that doesn't work. I do that. It's chaos today, people. It's chaos. All right, so next up on our December weather coverage, we're going to be talking about the rainfalls. How much does it rain in New Zealand? Are you going to get wet in New Zealand in December? Well, the answer is yes. It's New Zealand, right? It's rainy because it's a beautiful country, and to keep it green and beautiful, we need the rain. So here's what you can expect region by region. All right, in northern New Zealand, Northland, Auckland, and Tauranga, you can expect 90 millimeters of rain, which is 3.5 inches. In central Northland, in Hamilton, in Taupo, in Rotorua, you can expect 110 millimeters of rain, which is around 4 inches. And as I blabber about the rain, YouTube is telling me to tell you to like the video, so hit that like button because buttons are important to YouTube. Southwest Northern and New Plymouth, Palmerston North and Wellington, 90 millimeters of rain, which is 3.5 inches. Eastern Northern, that's Gisborne, Napier and Wawarapa. Again, will there be some water to, water down your wine? Yes, there will be. It's 50 millimeters of rain, which is 2 inches. Okay, heading to the South Island in Blenheim and Nelson, Northern South Island, that is 70 millimeters of rain, which is 3 inches. In Western South Island, Westport, Hokitika and Milford Sound, it always rains heaps. Buckets, in fact, 200 to 650 millimeters, which is between 8 to 25.5 inches. In Eastern South Island, Kaikoura, Christchurch and Timaru, 50 millimeters of rain, which is 2 inches. In the inland South Island, that's Lake Tekapo, Queenstown and Alexandra, between 40 to 80 millimeters of rain, between 1.5 to 3 inches. And finally, in southern New Zealand, Invercargill and Dunedin, 100 millimeters of rain, that is 4 inches. Here you go. Next up, we'll talk about the best places to visit in December. Oh, Laura, couldn't wait to come back.
I was running back. Woo!
Vahine says, we will be in the north and in the first half of December, planning on a lot of water, snorkel, booked activity, but trying to think about packing for changeable weather.
Yes, you definitely will want to pack for changeable weather. So...
In fact, we'll talk about what to pack at the end of this video.
We will, absolutely. So, yeah, we can talk about that more very, very soon. But, yeah, it looks like... a lot of water activities. That's good. Make sure you pack your swimwear, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good time as well to go do like all the snorkel and all those kind of things, especially like on the northern end. That's kind of like the island or holidays for Kiwis, right? It's significantly warmer on the northern end than on the southern end, especially like the water temperature. So you're definitely gonna enjoy a good dip.
Yes.
What? Mark D says, what is the typical time that restaurants close in places like Te Anau, Lake Tekapo, etc.? Places outside the bigger cities.
Okay, so first we'll talk about, let's say, cafes. So if you want to get something for lunch, cafes in small towns in New Zealand usually close by 3 p.m. So that's the first thing. And then when you come for evening dinner, restaurants will maybe take their last orders around 8:30 p.m, maybe 9 if you're lucky, but yeah, I'd say around 8 p.m. is probably where you get the last orders.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you dine early in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Like their busy time is like 6, 7. That's kind of like their really busy time, and then they kind of like start slowing down, and they will start kind of wiping the floors, putting chairs on top of some tables,
On top of you.
yeah. I mean, like last time, that was kind of interesting. Last time I had a meeting in the cafe place actually, and they were in the door. It was saying they were closing at 4. By 3 o'clock, they had put chairs on top of tables everywhere except where I was sitting with the person I was, and that was it. That was, and they literally just kind of like were staying behind the counter. They were cleaning everything, and they had kind of like flipped the sign on the door and be like, just kind of not wanting.
When they want to close, they will close, and they don't care if you're there or not.
My Kiwi friend was like, loud New Zealand is Hawaii, Colorado.
It was like loud, like Lord, like loud. You gotta say it. You gotta say it as it's written, Robin. Come on.
No!
Anyway, yes.
What?
New Zealand is like Hawaii / Colorado / Alaska climates all in one. Do you agree? Or do y'all agree?
I don't know if it goes down to like the coldest of Alaska kind of stuff, or at least what we see on TV. Like, you never really know. I've not been in Alaska, Laura, neither, right? So you never really know if in Alaska it's really like those kind of crazy stuff you see in TV or movies all the time. But I don't think it gets that cold. But I have lived in Colorado for a little while, in Arizona and Colorado for a little while, and I don't think it get that hot. I don't think it get that hot in New Zealand.
I guess I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, when the sun is out, it is
Yeah,
scorching.
that's true.
The sun feels really hot, but then as soon
it's not as dry though. It's not a dry heat. I think.
No. I mean, it's not too humid. Like sometimes there are humid days, but it's not too humid in New Zealand. So, like as soon as there's wind or anything like that, you will feel instantly a lot cooler. As soon as the sun goes in, you'll feel a lot cooler.
Oh yeah. You see, like Laura gets the sometimes like a nice summer day, right? And you got the sun in, and we kind of fine, and then there's gonna be a cloud that passes over the sun, and Laura just start getting the chill. Like
as soon
instantly,
as there's a
it's
cloud,
so
you're
fast,
like, oh my god, it's so cold now. Yeah, so it is very erratic weather, that's for sure.
Yes, that's what we say. So the other saying that we have a lot in New Zealand is that we have 4 seasons in one day, right?
Yeah.
Which is really true. Like you're gonna be warm, you're gonna be cold, you're gonna be wet, you're gonna be sweating. It's kind of it's kind of happen every day in New Zealand. It's very, very true, I say. Yeah,
and I think hopefully that answer also helps Vahini Wahini with understanding how changeable the weather is. So it really is like you really do want to, even when you're out and about, you do want to make sure that you have like in your day pack, you do have like an extra layer, or you have room to take off layers, because it's just all over the place.
Every time we go like on a walk or on a hike, Laura starts with like 3 or 4 layers. After about 4 minutes, she shedded half of them, and now guess what? Robin has half his backpack carrying Laura's layers. All the time. It's always like that, isn't it?
All right.
You make you face it. Sofa says that really helps. Really appreciate that info. No worries, my friends. We're here to help. All right. Should we talk about our favorite places to visit in December, Laura?
Let's do that.
Okay. Well, Laura, do you want to get us started?
Sure. Okay, so if you're looking for beautiful beaches, some sort of beautiful golden sands to go with that sunny weather, then a good place to go is at the top of the South Island to the Abel Tasman National Park. Sorry.
Another great place within this area, right? Because summer in New Zealand, you want to make the most out of that beautiful sun and making sure that you kind of really enjoy the fact that it is. Although New Zealand is not reliable weather-wise, and again, 4 seasons in one day or all that shebang, it is the most reliable kind of month to get some sun in, right? So for that reason, heading to Nelson, which is the sunniest city in amount of sun hours per year in New Zealand, is a really cool thing to do. There is some really fantastic hikes around, and there is some really cool excursion just around and outside of the town. You can even drive all the way to the Nelson Lakes, which it's still a little bit of a drive, but then you're going to have beautiful alpine environment, or you can head to what Laura was just talking about, the Albert Tasman National Park and all those beautiful golden sand beach and all that. So you're kind of really close to a lot of amazing attraction, basking in the sun of the sunniest area of the country. So why not spending some time in Nelson?
Next up is actually a place that's in a very similar area to Nelson. It is also at the top of the South Island, and it's Blenheim. So if you prefer, instead of, maybe doing too much hiking or whatever, then you can always go to Blenheim, which is renowned for its winemaking region. So there's loads of wineries and cellar doors open, and summer is the perfect time to go and sample various wines, relax at their cellar doors where they have restaurants, and you can just kick back, enjoy the sun. It does have long sunshine hours in Blenheim also.
Okay, next up on our list, we are heading to the North Island, but nothing too different. We're also going to the top of it. So we've done 3 places on the top of the South Island. Let's do at least 1 place on the top of the North Island. So the Bay of Island is comprised of 144 different islands, and it's located just off the shore of the small township of Pahia. It's a fantastic place to experience what the New Zealand summer on the North Island is really like. There is the beach, there is some amazing cultural places. There is some amazing adventure activities such as it's not parasailing, the thing with the boat. Yeah, it's parasailing,
yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah, parasailing. You also have a really great mountain biking ground. There's a lot of really epic attractions to do in the Bay of Island in summer, especially in December. So head there.
And finally, another good place on the North Island that is renowned for its mild climate, but also some fantastic coastal areas and beaches, is the Bay of Plenty region. So this is basically the coast where around Tauranga, Whakatane area. So yeah, along there we've got some beautiful beaches, and it's also renowned for its Pohutukawa trees, which are known as New Zealand Christmas trees, because during this time in December they blossom red flowers, and it looks like a very pretty area at this time of the year.
All right, next up we'll talk about a December packing list. But first, let's head back to the live chat. Did I miss anything on the live chat? No, I didn't. Oh well, easy peasy.
Let's get away from the live chat.
It was funny that our list actually included like everything in the same area at the beginning, though, like Blenheim and everything. It's a cool place. It's a really
it's the area that soaks up summer the most, I feel like. So yeah, if you want to really make the most of summer, then like either the top of the South Island or the top of the North Island, both of those areas are sort of renowned for having the best weather and consistently the best weather in summer if you are looking for that sort of summer holiday feeling.
YouTube is saying that my conversion rate for getting likes is very low. We've got 10 viewers and there's only 2 likes. YouTube is unhappy with that, and I keep getting warning.
Warning!
You guys are not clicking enough buttons, and you may be just talking to us or watching this show. That's crazy. All right. What did I want to say? I was about to say something, and then those YouTube thingies were like just popping up all around. This is kind of annoying. But yeah. Oh yeah. One other thing as well with the North Island, sorry, the north of the South Island, right, is the fact that I feel like pretty much everybody, especially in summer, because everybody's like usually rushing. People are traveling in summer spend less time in New Zealand. They're rushing, and it's. It just feels like so many people are skipping it basically, and so I think like it's kind of up to us to kind of tell you that there is really a lot of awesome things to do around Blenheim, around Nelson, and around Albert Tasman. So I think that's why that came up to our mind, to the both of us, to put on that article. Yeah.
Vahini Wahini says, "Smash that like, everybody."
That's a very interesting emoji, by the way. I don't think I've ever seen that. That's a pretty cool one. I like it. Well, now we got 7 likes, so YouTube is happy. We got a thumbs up for YouTube from YouTube.
And Mrs. W says, "I would like it twice if I could." Don't do that. It means you unlike it.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, and you guys know that by now, right? We don't care as much about it. It's just kind of YouTube is really pushy with that. I think they want much more interactions, and we've noticed that our videos have been shown to much less people lately. It used to be like less of a factor, but now it definitely is a big factor for them. So yeah, they really do like those little clickaroos.
They're like, we made all these features for you guys, and I'm only going to show your video if you actually use those features.
Yeah. I think what they're gonna start doing, because we don't do like YouTube membership, right? We do we on Patreon, just because Google is already making enough money, because they take about half the money of all the ads as well, right? So I think they're gonna actually start kind of pushing us to actually have to do like YouTube membership rather than Patreon and those kind of things, so they can clip the tickets on there as well. I have a feeling that this may happen actually at some point. So yeah, just be aware, guys, that may happen. All right. Machua X is here saying Morena. Morena means good morning in Maori, which is the local indigenous language right here in New Zealand. Machua X has been providing us with some excellent content on our Patreon secret Facebook group. So we have a Facebook group where it's just us and our Patreon members. And he's been showcasing his menus, which is basically...
Oh, yeah? I missed those. I need to go on.
Big ploof in the water.
A bomb.
Bomb, that's
a bomb
the one.
in the water.
It's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's been really, really cool. All right. Cool. Shall we continue? So again, you guys can ask us all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. It can be about everything to do about traveling in New Zealand. It doesn't have to be about traveling in December. But we'll continue with our theme of the week, and we'll talk about a bit of a packing list for December. All right, let's get started. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Laura, where we're going to go over some of the essential items to pack for a trip to New Zealand.
All right, since it is summer, it is okay now, guys, to pack your shorts. I mean, I feel like we've gone through like most of the year already, and it's just been like, make sure you've got warm clothing. But now, summer is here. There are some more comfortable temperatures during December, so wearing a pair of shorts is probably going to be, it's a good time to do that. Also, several light tops in your suitcase or backpack. You'll definitely want to have those like as underlayers, so when you can take layers off and you have something light and airy underneath. Another thing to pack are light hiking pants. So you can get really nice light hiking pants that dry really quickly, and we still think they're really good to use in summer because covering that extra skin sometimes when you're hiking is really good for protecting your legs against sandflies. Also means that you don't have to put sunscreen on that part of your body. Just like reapplying sunscreen all the time is a bit of a chore sometimes. So having some, light material hiking pants is a really good idea for summer as well. So yeah, keep that in mind. Also, for similar reasons, you might want to pack some light long sleeve tops. Again, to cover yourself from the sun if you don't want to always apply sunscreen, and also to protect yourself from sandflies. We especially do this when we're on walking trails out and about when we're traveling around New Zealand. And yes, even in December, even in summer, we do recommend that you pack a rain jacket. So have that rain jacket handy, either in your car if you're not leaving too far away from your vehicle or your accommodation, or if you are out for the whole day, make sure that you do have it in your backpack. Some days you definitely won't need it, but there may be the chance that the weather does change quite dramatically throughout the day, and having a rain jacket is going to feel a lot more comfortable than being cold and wet, because yeah, it still kind of sucks to be cold and wet even in December in New Zealand when it's summer. We've already mentioned before, but we'll say it again. Make sure that you do pack some high factor sunscreen. And also, believe it or not, we do recommend that you do pack some thermal layers, or at least like some warmer mid layers that you can put on top. So when the sun goes in, if you have a really cloudy day, it can feel significantly colder than, say, you might have got used to those really sunny days. You might be used to being really warm, but then as soon as the sun goes in, it can be hard to climatize, and you can feel the chills quite a lot. So having some extra thermal layers or a mid layer to put on is definitely a good idea, to have that available for you as you're traveling around New Zealand. Swimwear is definitely a must-do in December, not only for perhaps if you're going to the beach or if you're doing any water sports, maybe whitewater rafting or doing caving in Waitomo, that sort of thing, but also hot pools. Even in summer, hot pools feel pretty good. So if you want to sort of experience the geothermal geothermal attractions of New Zealand and those natural hot springs, then definitely bring your swimwear. And then finally, New Zealand is all about the outdoors, and whether you are taking very short walking trails or really long, even multi-day walking trails, you'll definitely want to have a good pair of walking shoes or hiking boots, just depends on what you prefer. Again, we always recommend to have waterproof walking shoes or hiking shoes, because once they get soaked through, it can be really hard to dry out your shoes as you're traveling around New Zealand. So yeah, definitely prepare for some walking shoes for your time in New Zealand.
All right, there is a link to our complete guide to traveling in New Zealand in December in the description of this video. And if you did find it useful, like and sub and all those good stuff, plus plenty of information on nzpocketguide.com. So far. I like that name. I do like it. One more question. My Kiwi friend I'll be traveling with suggested we tent, camp, stay in hostels versus renting a van and paying for the rental, petrol, insurance. Do you see this with a lot of other travelers? Yes, of course. We actually do have a video on this channel where we actually compare both options. And it's actually cheaper to travel by car and stay in hostels than any kind of other ways of traveling in New Zealand, aside from traveling by bus and staying in hostels. So yeah, that's by far the cheapest one. But traveling by car and staying in hostel is definitely a great option. Plus, hostels in New Zealand are definitely not like hostels in the US. They are actually really cool place to stay at.
Yeah.
Great place to meet people. Safe, clean, all that good stuff. It's really cool. The hostels are really fun in New Zealand. You can see us staying in a lot of hostels on the channel right here when we did New Zealand's biggest gap year, for instance. And well, literally, where was it? Earlier on this year when we went to the South Island, we did vlog for Patreons while we were doing that, and we stayed in hostels.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great.
And yeah, renting a van is like a camper van or motorhome or small camp car even. They are deceivingly more expensive than what you might expect. So in New Zealand, you can't just park up anywhere and camp for free. There's a lot of conditions surrounding that. You need to have, you need a vehicle to be certified self-contained, as it's known in New Zealand. And this has a special certification on the van to show that it is. And then only then in certain places can you camp for free. But even if your van is certified self-contained, which is actually quite an expensive type of van to rent, then every 3 days you'll find that you'll need to, refill the water, recharge the electricity, all that sort of thing.
Empty the black water and the grey water.
And with that usually means staying in a holiday park, which in New Zealand holiday parks are especially around summer, that sort of area, that sort of time, will be even up to about $50 per night, which, that can add up quite a few times on your trip. So yeah, renting a camper van, although it's sort of seen as the sort of idealistic way of traveling around New Zealand, it can be a lot more expensive than people realize.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely traveling around in a car. Cars are much cheaper to rent than a camper van, and staying, as your friend suggests, staying in tents in campsites, those sort of campsites where you can stay in a tent. There's a lot of Department of Conservation campsites which are incredibly cheap to use. I think at the most there'll be about 15 New Zealand dollars per person, but there'll be some that are cheaper than that as well. So staying in a tent in those places and combining that with staying in hostels, if you do want to get the extra comfort, they are very reasonably priced. Whether you want to stay in a private room or cheaper still staying in a shared dorm room, you do have more, you kind of open up your options to different types of accommodations.
And you get to meet fun people.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, we've done both in New Zealand, and we find that we felt like it made more sense financially and for fun as well to travel by car and stay in different types of accommodations. And just get different experiences as you're traveling around. So yeah, that's what we would recommend, and I think your Your friend, I think I agree with your friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Willie Punde says, Morena, after 1.5 weeks on the South Island, I will go to the ferry to the North Island today. Brilliant
Ooh.
weather at the moment here in Blenheim. That's cool.
Yeah, nice.
That's fun.
I bet it is good weather in Blenheim.
Yeah, that's awesome, my friend. So you're gonna have a beautiful cruise through the beautiful
Yeah.
Marlborough Sounds. I hope that you can be living and still gonna be a little bit of daylight. You're gonna enjoy it. That's gonna be awesome. That's really good, Willie. Awesome. What was your favorite thing on the South Island so far? Okay, we also have Shoniwa says, hi from sunny Whakatane. Oh yeah, you moved to Whakatane, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Says, it's been a great 2 months since arriving from Namibia. Oh, here you go. It seems a lot of places are fully booked for Christmas already. Do you have any idea on the Bay of Plenty area? No, that's absolutely normal. So in the Christmas, kind of like 2 weeks of Christmas, right? You're competing with both the locals and also all the international tourists. It's by far the busiest time of the year. So you learn that now that you're living in New Zealand, and you've got to book that like in July, June or July, right? You've got to book really, really early. So any idea on the Bay of Plenty area, aside from spending way too much money for the rare few that's going to still be have some availabilities, I think it's going to be tough, especially in the Bay of Plenty, where a lot of Aucklanders also head usually, right?
It's one of the top sort of holiday spots for locals, the Bay of Plenty area.
So what I will actually recommend rather than that is that if you do have your own vehicle, right, and you live in Whakatane, which is already kind of around the Bay of Plenty, what about you see something different and you head to a place that is usually a bit less visited and where you may have a bit more of a shot at getting some places to stay and to actually be able to rent. And so I'm going to suggest the region of Taranaki. First up, the road to go there will take you through a lot of the good parts of the North Island of New Zealand, so that can be a really fun road trip. But also the region of Taranaki, because it's a little bit more isolated, sees a little bit less tourists. And so therefore, when I have some people that kind of ask me, oh, everything is booked there, where can I go, blah, blah, I usually send them around the Taranaki region. It's beautiful. It's stunning forest, amazing coastline, great beach as well. People don't realize that. And some really cool like kind of historical areas as well. So it's a really fantastic place to visit, and you may be lucky to be able to score some accommodation at still decent prices. So look at the entire kind of Taranaki area, with both the north and the south and everything, and so you should be able to find some cool places to stay at, I think, at decent prices.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think fully. Oh, you stop. No, I do think that's a really good suggestion. I think if you want a plan B and you really were set on, I want a getaway that is very similar to the Bay of Plenty, then I would go to the neighbouring region of Gisborne, which is also renowned for its beautiful sort of, golden sand beaches, that sort of thing.
And you can surf with Sarah since Frank retired.
Yeah, you can do surf lessons. Gisborne is a much less visited region, but it is really, it's beautiful, it's quiet, it's really like a really cool road trip to go around that area, and it is in many ways quite similar to the Bay of Plenty. But like I say, Robin's idea of going to Taranaki, I think that is the idea I would personally go for. It sounds like you.
Did I send you on Taranaki? Should we go there for Christmas?
Yeah, let's do it. Hopefully there's still availability. There probably will be. So
Shoniwa, we're gonna have to fight each other for accommodations in Taranaki right here. So we may book ourselves there first. So here you go. Be aware, we're coming for your accommodation in Taranaki, my friends. But it's actually quite a good question. It's quite on theme, right? With traveling in New Zealand in December, and that's what Laura was saying. Up top during the beginning of this video, right? She was talking about the fact that you really do need to consider booking early if you're traveling in New Zealand in December. Like booking last minute really doesn't cut it, and even for like the thing that you don't think would be like fully booked, like a department of conservation camping site and everything. Well, at that point, that's the thing, when you're actually doing it in December, you want want to actually be arriving, because it's a first in, first serve kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You want to be arriving earlier. It's not one of those when you can rock in at 4 or at 5 and be like, I can pitch my tent. Absolutely not. You will have some people that literally have pitched their tent a day or two ago and are just staying there, and you don't have a spot, and which means you need to keep on hiking until you get the next place where you can get a spot or something like that, right? Or keep on driving, etc. Right? So no, it really showcases the fact that in New Zealand in December we are kind of stretched ish for that.
It feels quite different in December compared to other months of the year, that's for sure.
But that doesn't mean December is not a great month to travel to.
Not.
Like, it's good. It's good weather. It's all that. Everybody's cheerful and all that.
Yeah.
I remember, where did I have to try in December to park that gigantic RV we had? I think that was in Whangamata. You know, it was like it was a holiday weekend, right? And I had to park it. And like there was like at least 2 families of Kiwis kind of helping maneuver, because
in a holiday park.
The holiday park was so full, right? Literally, the spot that we got was the exact size of the camper van, right? That was no room to.
Yeah, it was barely a camping spot, and it was like, oh, we've got this tiny little spot in the corner of the holiday park that you can maybe squeeze into.
And my experience,
we did have to squeeze into it.
Yeah, and my experience at the time of driving RVs was very limited, so we had to park this huge thing with, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking, like, you know, maybe like I'm remembering it wrong, but I felt like it was like a hair of room in each side, right? And I had to maneuver my way in there, and it was all because it was just really busy, Okay, Ice M says, hey guys, when is the best time to buy plane tickets from Europe to Auckland? How many months before, and
for which month?
For which month? So that's a lot of time, the word month. Okay, cool. So first up, you don't want to travel to New Zealand around that time of the year, right? So the most expensive time of the year is always around the Christmas time of the year, right? So traveling in New Zealand around the winter times, which is June, July, and August, is usually the best time to actually get cheaper plane tickets. So that's the first one, right? Then when it comes down to how early you want to book your plane ticket, that's a good question. And we actually do have an article on NZ Pocket Guide about that. On the website. I'm going to find it quickly, but I think it's about 3 months in advance. That is like the best time frame. Let me have a quick look. So we did some tests and everything, so let me have a look at that. So boom. I'm also going to give you a link to that article in the chat right now, so you can actually read it rather than hear me blubber, because nobody likes to hear Robin blubber. But so 47 days is the best. So that's 1.5 months. So 47 days before the date of your flight tend to be the cheapest, according to data released by Google Flight. Flying in midweek is also a good time. So obviously, but that's kind of common all around the world, right? You don't want to fly before and after the weekend, because that's when people are flying as well. So like midweek, like Wednesday, is also a good one. If you want to do 2 one-way tickets rather than a return ticket, that actually, because that allows you to do different airlines, that actually quite often amount to substantial savings when it comes down to international flights. So consider 2 one-way tickets rather than the return ticket. And also, when you are comparing flight, make sure that you add all the different fees, right? Like some airline, they will have like extra fee for the luggage, for this, for that. So just add all those together, because sometimes you have like, oh, this one's $100 cheaper. Oh yeah, but there is $280 worth of fees, so therefore the other one was cheaper. And so that quite often is the case with airlines. They're very opaque, as the opposite of transparent, when it comes down to pricing themselves. They do very much dodgy prices, to say the least. Another tip that I actually use all the time, I use private browsing on like different devices to look for my flight, because sometimes I just refresh the page and the price I went up by $50 while it's the same on my phone, for example. So even when you have locked in, like when you're going through the booking process, sometimes you see like, oh, do you remember that New Zealand flight?
We're running out of seats here, so you have to pay a little bit extra to, I don't know, for some odd reason, and then we refreshed the page, went on private browsing, and then we didn't get that message whatsoever.
I had that when I was booking a flight with Air New Zealand, right? They bumped up the price for both of our tickets of $150. I was like, hell no! Like, through the process of just like putting our names and passport and everything, right? they bumped up the price $150. I was like, hell no, close the browser, went on use a VPN, private browsing, and redid it, and I got the price without paying the extra $150. Absolutely shocking. So yeah, do be aware of that. That does happen.
But for traveling between Europe and Auckland, there's going to be lots of different routes to take.
Yeah.
So really comparing your different options, like, okay, how is it going to be if I make a stopover in the US compared to making a stopover in Hong Kong, for instance?
Yeah, or Dubai.
Exactly, or Dubai. Like, actually look at the different flight connections.
Yeah, you're gonna have US, Dubai, Singapore, and Hong Kong. That's gonna be like kind of your
the main
two,
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just really compare all those airlines. Even if you book direct with some airlines, they'll do it cheaper compared to if you're doing it through one of those sort of flight compare websites. So yeah, you can do a lot of research. It can take a lot of time, but yeah, doing a lot of research can actually help you save money.
But at the end of the day, I always say it's not worth saving $100 if you have to travel for an extra 2 hours, right? It's going to smack you flying from Europe to New Zealand. It's going to physically smack you, so it's worth paying the little extra. I know we're talking about trying to get a good deal right here, but it's worth paying the little bit extra to either have a longer stop somewhere, let's say like in Hong Kong you take 3 days or something, it's fine, or to actually fly faster and don't have not having a long layover. So yeah, just putting it out there.
So like reduce the amount of stopovers
and we all reduce the amount of hours in total of your flight, right?
Yeah.
If it's about to be like 18 hours and you can make it 14, it's worth it. It's worth the extra for sure.
Yeah.
Ice says apparently buying it very late at night, like 4 a.m. makes also the plane ticket cheaper. But 4 a.m. for whom? For us in New Zealand? For you in Europe? For the stopover? That's an interesting point. I've never heard of this. At what time to buy it? I've never heard of this one, and we've done a lot of research in the subject, so that's quite interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Anthony says,
"Stay safe, but I'm here till the end."
Of
Thanks
course.
for popping in, Anthony.
Yeah.
And thanks for saying your signature phrase. It makes us
Nice.
feel, like everything
Complete.
is right in the world.
I say so true. You're welcome, my friends. Anyway, all right, so everybody. So right after this live show right now, we're having a group call. So if you want to interact with us and join a group call, it's as simple as joining us on Patreon. You get access to a secret Facebook group call weekly to help you plan your trip to New Zealand, and many more perks. So yeah, it's just cool and it's cheap as. So if you want to join us there, we can definitely help you heaps planning your trip to New Zealand. I know that some people are really appreciating the amount of help that we're giving them. So yeah, join us for a month or two. It's a lot of fun. In the meantime, we'll see you next week with another theme that I cannot remember what it is yet. So
To be announced.
Exactly, to be announced. We don't know yet. Anthony says I gotta get used to the new time I'll be here. I'd forgotten the time it started. Oh, maybe people have changed time. That's why there was such
Yeah, now it's that time of the year where the daylight savings kicks in.
I am
That
so
happens-
against daylight savings.
Yeah, that happened for us in September, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
daylight
think
saving
we're,
is
I
a
think we're
sham.
good for a few months yet.
I'm not much
summer.
into conspiracy theories, right? But I think that daylight saving is a conspiracy to make us buy watches. Or no, you know what? Make us have to buy a new microwave because changing the time on that damn microwave is impossible. How can they make me heat stuff? We took millenniums to be able to create fire to heat our food, right? Now, some sort of genius mastermind was able to make us heat pot noodles in 30 seconds. But they're not able to make me change that damn clock
You can tell
in an easy way.
You can tell you never made instant noodles if you're
No,
putting
I
them in a
don't.
microwave.
I don't do
Don't
plugged
do
in.
that, people.
I barely use the microwave. It's Laura's thing. She likes using the microwave. I use a pan and pot
How
and
else
everything.
can I make your hot cocoa?
Oh yeah, that's true. Hot cocoa. But yeah, I don't use that because that damn thing refuses to change time on the right time of the year. And so for about 6 months of the year, it says the wrong time. And that's confusing as. Anyway, that's it. Rant over. I hate microwaves. It's a travel channel here. But yeah.
Oh gosh.
I just felt like a rant. Anyway, that's those kind of honest opinions, things you can get on Patreon.
Yes, join us on Patreon for more rants like that.
Anyway, jokes aside, everybody, we see you next week. Thank you so much for another great live show. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
why came to me with those microwave?